everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Personal Growth Podcast. I'm your host, Jason, and joining me today is the wonderful Julia. Hi, Julia.
Hi, Jason. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. Today's topic is something we all face at some point in our lives. It's about finding peace when our hearts feel distracted and unsettled.
That's right, Julia. Life can be so overwhelming sometimes. With work, family, social media, and so many other things pulling us in different directions, it's easy to lose focus and feel restless inside. For many of us, it feels like our hearts are running in 1,000 directions, but we can't seem to find that peace we truly need.
Exactly. And this isn't just a big topic for people who are older or super busy. It's something everyone deals with, even beginners in their personal growth journey. That's why it's so important to learn how to calm the chaos in our minds and hearts.
And the good news is, we're here to help. In this episode, we're going to have a simple but powerful conversation about how to understand your distractions, how to focus on what truly matters, and how to create space for peace in your life.
Yes. And if you're just starting out on this journey of personal growth, don't worry. We're going to break everything down into easy steps that you can follow. So grab a cup of tea, find a cozy spot, and let's talk about how you can find peace, even in a distracted heart.
Let's get started. All right, Julia, let's dive into the topic. When we talk about a distracted heart, it's not just about being busy or having a lot to do. It's about that feeling of being pulled in so many directions that you lose your sense of calm and focus. Does that sound familiar?
Absolutely, Jason. A distracted heart often means we're carrying a lot of worries, responsibilities, or even unnecessary thoughts that don't let us fully enjoy the present moment. It's like having a noisy room in your mind where you can't hear your own thoughts clearly.
That's a great way to describe it. And distractions can come from anywhere. Work deadlines, family expectations, social media notifications, or even comparing yourself to others.
Yes. And sometimes the distractions aren't just external. They can also come from within. Things like overthinking, self-doubt, or fear of failure. When these inner distractions pile up, they make it harder to focus on what really matters.
Right, and I think it's important to point out that being distracted doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It's natural. We live in a world that's constantly demanding our attention. The key is to recognize those distractions and take steps to manage them.
Exactly. It's not about trying to be perfect or getting rid of all distractions. That's impossible. It's about finding balance and understanding what's worth your time and energy.
So true. And one thing I've noticed is that when our hearts are distracted, it's often because we haven't taken the time to pause and ask ourselves, what really matters to me? Without that clarity, it's easy to get caught up in things that don't actually bring us peace.
That's such an important question, Jason. And once we understand what's causing our distractions, we can start to work on finding solutions. But before we get to the solutions, let's talk a bit more about the common causes of distraction.
Great idea, Julia. Let's give our listeners a clear picture of where these distractions come from so they can relate and start reflecting on their own lives. Now that we've talked about what a distracted heart is and where those distractions come from, let's get to the part everyone is waiting for: how to find peace. Julia, let's break it down into simple steps our listeners can follow.
Absolutely, Jason. Finding peace doesn't happen overnight, but with small, consistent actions, anyone can do it. Let's start with step 1. Identify the distractions.
Right. You can't solve a problem if you don't know what it is. So take a moment to reflect. What's pulling your attention away? Is it your phone? Too many commitments? Or maybe it's overthinking about the future or the past?
Exactly. A good way to do this is by keeping a distraction journal. For 1 week, write down the things that make you lose focus or feel restless. This will help you see patterns and understand what's really going on.
That's such a practical tip. Let's move to step 2. Create a calming routine. This is where you intentionally make time for activities that relax your mind. For some, it might be meditation, deep breathing, or even journaling. For others, it could be a walk in nature or listening to calming music.
I love that, Jason. And it doesn't have to be complicated. Even 5 minutes of mindfulness or quiet reflection can make a big difference in calming a busy mind.
Exactly. Now on to step 3. Prioritize what truly matters. We all have limited time and energy, so it's important to focus on the things that align with our values. Julia, how can someone figure out what matters most?
A great way is to ask yourself, what brings me joy? What helps me grow? What makes me feel fulfilled? When you focus on those things, it's easier to let go of distractions that don't serve you.
That's such great advice. Step 4 is to build small habits that help you stay focused. For example, setting a specific time each day to check emails or social media can prevent constant interruptions.
Yes. Another habit could be starting your day with intention. Before you do anything else, take a moment to plan your day and set 1 or 2 priorities. That way, you're in control instead of letting distractions take over.
And remember, finding peace isn't about perfection, it's about progress. Start with small changes, and over time, they'll add up to a more peaceful and focused life.
Exactly, Jason. And don't forget to be kind to yourself during this process. Some days will be harder than others, and that's okay. The key is to keep going.
Absolutely. So to recap, the 4 steps are: identify your distractions, create a calming routine, prioritize what truly matters, and build small, focus-friendly habits.
That's right. If you take these steps one at a time, you'll start to feel more peace in your heart and mind, even in today's busy world.
All right, Julia, we've talked about the practical steps to finding peace. Now let's bring it to life with some real examples. I think stories help make these ideas more relatable. Would you like to start with one?
Sure, Jason. I remember a time when I felt completely overwhelmed with distractions. I was juggling work, personal projects, and trying to stay active on social media. It felt like my mind was always racing, and I couldn't focus on anything.
That sounds exhausting, Julia. What did you do to handle it?
Well, the first step was realizing how much time I was spending on my phone, especially scrolling through social media. I decided to create a simple routine. Every morning, instead of reaching for my phone, I spent 10 minutes journaling and listing 3 things I was grateful for. It didn't seem like much at first, but over time, it really helped me start my day with a calm and clear mind.
That's such a great example. Sometimes it's the small changes that make the biggest difference. For me, I had a similar moment during a particularly stressful project at work. I found myself working late nights and constantly worrying about meeting deadlines. My mind was so distracted that I couldn't even enjoy my free time.
I can relate to that, Jason. What helped you turn things around?
I realized I needed to prioritize what truly mattered. I started setting boundaries, like not checking work emails after 8 p.m., and spent 15 minutes each night meditating. This gave me the mental space to relax and let go of unnecessary worries.
That's such a powerful example, Jason. It shows how setting boundaries and taking small steps can really help. I think many of our listeners can relate to feeling overwhelmed by distractions, whether it's work, social media, or just life's daily stress.
Absolutely. And these examples show that finding peace isn't about making drastic changes all at once. It's about taking small, intentional actions that help you regain focus and calm.
Exactly. So, to our listeners, if you've ever felt distracted or restless, know that you're not alone. And if Jason and I can find ways to manage it, you can too.
That's right. It's all about starting with one step at a time. And the more you practice, the easier it becomes to find peace in the middle of life's chaos. We've covered a lot today, Julia, and I think it's clear that finding peace in a distracted heart is possible, even if it feels difficult at times. But before we wrap up, I want to take a moment to encourage our listeners.
That's a great idea, Jason. To anyone listening, I want to remind you that it's okay to feel overwhelmed sometimes. Life can be messy, and distractions are part of being human. The important thing is to recognize them and take small steps toward finding peace.
Exactly. Don't put pressure on yourself to have everything figured out right away. Even just starting with one simple habit, like setting aside a few minutes for quiet reflection each day, can make a big difference over time.
And remember, progress is more important than perfection. There will be days when you feel like you're making progress, and other days when it feels harder. That's completely normal. What matters is that you don't give up on yourself.
That's such an important point, Julia. And I want to add that finding peace doesn't mean your life will be free from challenges or stress. It means you'll have the tools and mindset to handle those challenges with more calm and clarity.
Yes. And even when things feel tough, remind yourself that you're capable of growth. You're stronger than you think, and every small step you take brings you closer to the peace you're looking for.
So take a deep breath, reflect on what we've talked about today, and give yourself the gift of peace, one small action at a time. You've got this, and we're here cheering you on every step of the way.
That's right. You're not alone in this journey. Keep going, keep growing, and remember, peace starts with you.
Beautifully said, Julia. All right, let's move on to our final thoughts and wrap up the episode. All right, everyone, that brings us to the end of today's episode. We hope you found this conversation helpful and that you feel inspired to take steps toward finding peace in your life.
Yes. And remember, even small changes can make a big difference. Start by identifying your distractions and building those simple habits we talked about. You've got everything you need to begin your journey to a more peaceful heart.
If you enjoyed this episode, we'd love to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. What steps are you planning to take to find peace? Or share your own tips. We'd love to learn from you.
And don't forget to subscribe to the Personal Growth Talks podcast so you don't miss any of our upcoming episodes. We've got more amazing topics and practical advice to help you on your journey of personal growth.
That's right, and if you found this episode valuable, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Let's spread the message of peace and growth to as many people as possible.
Thank you so much for spending your time with us today. Remember, peace is a journey, not a destination. Take it one step at a time, and you'll get there.
We'll see you in the next episode. Until then, stay calm, stay focused, and keep growing. Bye for now.
Where's your assignment?
I didn't finish it.
Why not?
I kept putting it off.
Procrastination?
Yeah.
When did you plan to start?
Days ago?
And you didn't?
No.
What stopped you?
I don't know.
Try.
Fear. Maybe.
Of what?
Failing.
Before you even began?
Exactly.
That fear is heavy.
It is.
So you avoided it.
I distracted myself.
With what?
Anything. Phone, videos, music.
Did it help?
For a moment.
And then?
Guilt.
Strong guilt.
Very strong.
Did the guilt motivate you?
No.
It made it worse.
Way worse.
That's a trap.
I know.
Do you want to break it?
More than anything.
Then you have to face the fear.
How?
Small steps.
Even if I'm scared?
Especially if you're scared.
What if I fail anyway?
Then you learn.
And if I freeze again?
Then you try again.
It sounds exhausting.
At first, it is.
How long until it feels easier?
Long enough to matter.
That sounds slow.
It is.
But it's worth it.
Always.
Even if no one sees.
Especially then.